Welcome into Mavericks Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Harrison Graham. Dallas has lost 2 straight games, both games in which Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving have played together. We'll kind of talk about that later on in the show. Producer Coop's going to hop on today. He was in the building last night. He'll talk about Kyrie's epic fourth quarter and kind of where this team needs to go from here. But let's talk about the news that I broke on YouTube Shorts last night here on the channel. Adrian Wojnarowski broke the news, but I reacted to it, that Dallas is working out a Dallas native. That is LaMarcus Aldridge, that they will bring in the big man for a workout today, which is very interesting, right? I mean, last year in 47 games, he actually played pretty well for the Nets. Remember, they had him and Blake Griffin, and he was the one who stayed in the rotation, and Griffin was kind of phased out. 13 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, very efficient from the field, the occasional three, but that's not really his game, more of a mid-range and back-to-the-basket type of player. And Coop, this is certainly an interesting development. Now, remember, it is just a workout. I mean, they worked out Monte Ellis and Lance Stevenson a year or two ago.
I forgot about that. Yes, they did.
And they didn't sign. So, 37 years old. He played at Seagoville High School, obviously played college ball at Texas down in Austin. Work him out, see how he looks.
Sure.
I mean, I don't think this is moving the needle for anyone.
At the end of the day, as we saw last night, the Mavs' biggest problem is defense, and specifically defense in the paint, and Aldridge isn't going to help you out there.
No.
He can rebound a little bit. He can obviously score the ball still, 13 points a game last year, but at the end of the day, I think the Mavs need someone who's going to give them more on the defensive end, and I just don't think Aldridge is going to give you that.
Yeah, and I think you really look at this, and it's like, okay, who do you cut if you sign LaMarcus Aldridge?
I think the answer is Markieff Morris. I'm not sure. I think Markieff Morris and Ntilikina would be your 2 cut candidates, but assuming Justin Holiday's coming in, which we don't know as of yet, he would fill up the final roster spot. I assume that it would be one of those 2 guys because those guys just aren't in the rotation right now.
I mean, other guys, I don't think they're going to cut Theo Pinson.
They won't cut Theo. He's the mascot.
They value his culture, and he's actually played okay as of late as well. Certainly interesting. We'll talk about this potential signing here in a little bit as well, but let me ask you this question first. This is actually going to be the pinned comment on today's video, so if you get hit with the YouTube ad break, go down and answer this question. Would you sign LaMarcus Aldridge? Type S for sign, P for pass. YouTube ad break right now. Go answer by replying to the pinned comment. Take a look at this game from last night, and then we'll kind of circle back to Aldridge at the end of the show. Timberwolves 124, Mavs 121. Coop, you were at the game, and I was watching for a good chunk. I'll be honest, at 87-63, I believe it was, I said, well, we'll try this again. I'm going to throw on the old Netflix with the wife. But Kyrie Irving scores 36 points, 26 in the fourth. But then we'll talk about the last play in a second. I guess, what was the atmosphere like for Kyrie's home debut, and then how epic was it to witness that fourth quarter rally?
I was thinking late in the third quarter, I was like, all right, there'll be about 9 minutes left. They'll be down 25. I'm going to head out of here. Kyrie said no to that. I mean, he went absolutely off, and the crowd was electric, man. I mean, there was one where he's dribbling on a fast break, and he's going full speed. He pulls up on an absolute dime and cashes a 3, and the crowd just goes nuts, and that got the Mavs within 10. And I think people were realizing the special ability that Kyrie Irving has to just electrify a crowd, which is something that he said when he said he wants the loud cheers and to feel the love and stuff. He definitely felt that last night, and he brought the building alive in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, look, going from here, there's obviously a couple of things. One, and they said it last night, and Jason Kidd said it, it's going to take time for Kyrie and Luka, especially in those kind of tight game situations. Like, how does the flow of the offense go? Do you run through Luka? Do you run through Kyrie? Do you run through the hot hand? What is the play there? Because for those who missed it on the last play, they basically played hot potato and just passed the ball back and forth and ultimately didn't even get a shot up. I think with how the game went last night, like, as weird as it sounds when you have Luka on your team, I think you just go Kyrie ISO there.
Yeah, Kyrie was hot, and I think that's also a coaching thing. Jason Kidd kind of has to feel that and get a play to get him the ball. Now, that out-of-bounds play, they did try to get it to Kyrie where Josh Green was coming the other way and Kyrie was kind of running a flare out to get the ball, and he was just defended well. Yeah. So they couldn't get it to him. But, yeah, I mean, the Mavs' late-game situations have been terrible all year. They're now 0 for 11 in game-tying or go-ahead shots at the horn. They haven't made one all season.
Yeah.
The only one they made in the last 5 seconds, I believe, was a Kemba Walker layup against the Cleveland Cavaliers, which they lost that game anyways.
Shout out to the Kemba Walker tenure.
It's not just a Luka Kyrie thing. It's a team thing where they just haven't figured out how to get that last shot and win the game.
I will say this, while there's still some frustration, and then I want to talk about the defense, you could see how good this pairing could be. I mean, these guys have played 2 games together. I mean, joking in the office, 2 games. I mean, they blow it up. They're not going to work together. I mean, they're averaging about 60 points combined.
It's incredible
in the
to
2
watch.
games. So they definitely are going to be able to play to each other. I mean, Kyrie kind of snarked at the media when he said, I don't get why there's this idea that I can't play off ball. Not that anyone has insinuated that, but I think this pairing is going to work, especially offensively. Now, obviously, defensively, Coop, as we'll shift there. The paint defense especially, I mean, I get it. Gobert, I'm drawing a blank. Did Towns even play last night?
Towns didn't play,
Towns
no.
didn't even play, and you're just getting bullied in the paint. I don't know how that improves. I mean, LaMarcus Aldridge, like you said, doesn't fix that. I mean, I think you brought in JaVale to hope he could be one of those guys. He ain't the answer.
He's not there, yeah. It's definitely a concern, man. I mean, Gobert's 9 of 9 from the field last night. It was pretty dominating performance from him and from Anthony Edwards, who got into the paint at will as well. It's one of those things where they just had no idea what to do, to the point where Jason Kidd didn't even put a big man out there and just tried to rough up the game, which, to his credit, they did in the fourth quarter. I mean, the bigs were Theo Pinson and Reggie Bullock in the fourth quarter last night. It's just a deal where they have to find a way to protect the paint more, because if you don't protect the paint, you're just not going to win games.
Yeah, and I mean, look, last night was you saw the playoff Dwight Powell last night, where you just can't have him out there, especially in big moments, because he just gets picked apart defensively. He's undersized. He can't protect the rim at all. He's not a good rebounder for his size. He gets worked in pick-and-roll defense. I get he's a good lob man for Luka offensively, but I think, I'm not saying people forgot, but, have we forgotten that he was unplayable in the playoffs last year?
Yeah, they couldn't play him.
There's a reason they signed JaVale. It obviously hasn't worked out, but they wanted to get a better big. There's a reason they traded for Christian Wood. He doesn't seem to be – he had, 18-point second quarter, but Jason Kidd doesn't seem to like him.
And
so
we'll get to Wood and win it, but I think what's going to happen is when Maxi Kleber comes back, he's going to play a lot of minutes, and he's going to have to play often. And coming off a torn hamstring, that's a lot to ask of him. But that's what they're going to have to do at this point, because they really have no presence there whatsoever, and there's not really a guy on the buyout market they could go get to help them.
Yeah, I don't think so. What's your concern level about the Mavs in these late-game situations? Scale it from 1 to 10, 1 being not at all, 10 being very concerned. I do want to see more of them with Luka and Kyrie together, so I'll go a 7. I mean, it's been a theme this year, but you've got Kyrie now, so you hope over time. You don't have a ton of time. You got, 25 games or so until the NBA playoffs to figure this out. Scale of 1 to 10, how concerned are you about the late-game struggles? Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Join the family here at Mavericks Today. If you want more Mavericks news and rumors coverage, post-game reaction thoughts like this, we will have you covered. So hit that sub button here on the channel. Let's talk Christian Wood 18-point second quarter. He is explosive offensively, but defensively has been a problem. It's so weird, Coop, because Christian Wood, there was a stretch where he was actually playing decent defense. He was protecting the rim, but that has kind of evaporated. So I don't know if it's an effort thing on that end, or if, maybe he was just kind of playing above his head, or maybe it was some matchup stuff when he was playing well, but clearly was not an asset last night on that end of the court.
There was that stretch where I believe he had 7 consecutive games of 2 blocks, I believe it was.
Yeah.
So he was protecting the rim there a little bit, but I think that was just kind of an aberration, and I don't think it's something that was going to continue. And at the end of the day, I just feel like Jason Kidd doesn't trust Wood at the end of games to be able to defend. And last night, he didn't defend at all. Yeah, he exploded in the second quarter with offense, but I think Kidd values defense more at that position, and he doesn't trust Wood to be able to get the job done. And not to say that Dwight Powell's going to get it done either, because he clearly doesn't, but I believe he trusts Dwight Powell to at least try to be in the right spot at the right time.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting when Kleber comes back, because I think ideally you just stagger him and Wood as much as possible. Wood for offense, Kleber for defense, but you're still going to need more minutes because they're not just straight fives. They're not going to play small all the time. So, Powell is still going to have to play some. JaVale might still have to play some.
I think what's going to happen is they're going to end up playing 2 bigs a little bit more often, where you see Kleber at the 4 and either Powell or McGee, maybe even Wood together. I think you're going to see a 2-big lineup more often.
I don't mind the Kleber-Wood combination because offensively you can play 5 out. I think that's pretty intriguing. And then, look, while Wood's not a great defender, if you have Kleber next to him, maybe that offers some protection. We'll see. I think Jason Kidd, that's another thing he's got to work through here, Coop, is kind of fine-tuning the rotations now with Kyrie on board, once the Holiday deal becomes official, assuming that still falls into place. But, yeah, I mean, the Wood conundrum's been a conundrum all season. I mean, I don't really know where it goes from here.
And I think tomorrow is kind of a big game. I think the Mavs really have to go into the All-Star break on a high note, and you have the right to go to Denver and play the number 1 seed in the West. So it's a tough one, but I think if they get that game and get some good feeling going into the All-Star break, people will feel a lot better about this team going forward.
Good luck stopping Nikola Jokic if you couldn't stop Rudy Gobert. All right, will Christian Wood re-sign with the Mavs? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Get your votes in the comments. We'll see you next time here on Mavericks Today.